back in 1967, we built 200 and almost 240 houses in Lawrence. In 1994, 486 homes.
Wow.
Compared to today, we're building 57. And our population in Lawrence is over 91,000. It's a problem for buyers, it's a problem for builders, and it's a problem for the community because we have stifled growth right now, and that means stifled economic development.
Yeah.
Welcome to Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast presented to you by the Lawrence Board of Realtors. We're your go-to source for all things real estate in Lawrence, Kansas. I'm Lexie Haskin with Flint Hills Mortgage.
And I'm Campbell Ragan with McGrew Real Estate. Together, we're here to make the journey to home ownership a breeze. Join us as we share insider insights, expert advice, and a dose of fun along the way.
Hello, this is Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast by the Lawrence Board of Realtors. My name is Lexie Haskin with Flint Hills Mortgage.
And my name is Campbell Ragan with McGrew Real Estate.
And we are joined today with Bobbie Flory with the Lawrence Home Builders Association. Welcome.
Hi, thank you.
Thank you for taking the time out of your busy day to come talk about inventory shortages, everybody's favorite topic.
Right. We do talk about this a lot, actually.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, it definitely is
In Lawrence particularly.
a pretty big topic.
Yeah.
So we're just going to talk about what's causing these issues and
Yeah, so starting out, can you explain your role in the Lawrence Home Builders Association and what you do?
Sure. I think my role is kind of divided into several areas. I promote the building industry, and we promote that through the home show, through the spring and fall parade of homes, which many from the community might recognize those events because, we want the community to come out and view the products and services at the home show and then at the actual homes through the parade of homes. We advocate for codes that are reasonable and economically fiscal for our builders to be able to build homes that are the best price that they can build them for. And then we also provide education for our contractors so they can meet the requirements to be licensed, which is really important in this community, and we're grateful that we have licensed contractors. So if people are getting work done on their homes, they really should ask if their contractor is licensed. It means that they have a certain minimum level of education, and it also means that they have liability insurance. Mm-hmm. So not everybody has that. So if somebody out there is having construction work, remodel work done, they really need to make sure that whoever they're using is a licensed contractor.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I think that is a lot. People don't even know to ask about that.
Yeah, probably not. We've been licensed for licensing in this community for probably about 15 years. When it first started, there was a little pushback on it, but I think our contractors quickly realized that it's really an education opportunity and to raise the bar on our industry. So we bring in people really across the country to come and give presentations, some locally, of course, too, or regionally, but we do get some further away that are experts in their field, and they come and share the knowledge, and it's always really, I think, interesting and valuable to raise the bar for our contractors.
That's awesome. So have you seen membership decline or change over the past few years within the association?
Yes, I have. Part of that might be related to just membership organizations in general. Yeah. I think are really challenged, especially after COVID. But I think the thing that impacts our membership more is that, first of all, we're voluntary. You do not have to be a member of the Home Builders Association to be a builder or a subcontractor, but we encourage people to because for a lot of reasons, benefits of membership that I won't go into here. But so really what has impacted our membership numbers more than anything is that the building permit activity in the community has come down to, and I mean, everybody has seen it reported on, historic lows. Yeah. So, in a community where we have built I think our highest was 420 some homes to 57.
Yeah.
Single family. I'm talking about single family homes. That is crushing to the industry professionals. So what they do is they find other things to do. They might do remodeling. They might go into service work, depending on what their trade is, or they go to other communities.
Yep.
So we're losing our tradespeople and our industry professionals when we only have, a very small pie that's got to be split up. So naturally, that's what happens. So that has impacted our membership a little bit, but I would say that we're still pretty strong. I mean, we're still keeping our numbers up, and because we offer other values to people that are still in the business and think that it's important to support their trades association.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Wow.
So let's just dive into that inventory shortage. What do you think are some of the primary factors contributing to that shortage in Lawrence?
Well, we adopted a comprehensive plan a couple of years ago called Plan 2040. And in that plan, the city at that time made it pretty clear that what they're interested in is infill growth. And that is the biggest theme in that comprehensive plan is infill growth. They do a lot inventory report, and the then planning director said, there's plenty of lots out there. We don't need to go out and start annexing a bunch of land, and, they're calling it sprawl, which, by the way, I will say Lawrence does not have sprawl. We have developed very efficiently and in an organized way. But just because there is a greenfield development, a lot of people are quick to say, oh, that is sprawl.
So what is sprawl?
Sprawl is where you have inefficient use of your infrastructure. So let's say that you have a city limit, and then a mile out, somebody has a piece of ground, and they decide that, hey, I want to put a housing develop over here because I own this 40 acres right here. And it's not contiguous to the existing city limits. So when we build contiguously to the existing city limits, we are growing at very, very managed in a managed way. And sprawl is where they call it, another word is leapfrog, to jump out and, let's put something out here.
That doesn't belong there. It just doesn't make sense for it to be there.
Or it doesn't make sense, or it's just not. It's not the orderly growth. It's this piece should have developed before that piece, and it incrementally grows. And so, that I think the Comprehensive Plan 2040 was a big push for, not adopting or not annexing and approving more developments. They say that, we've got plenty of lots. Well, we did a windshield survey of those lots, and they have a list of them. There were over 700, and think, well, that's a lot of lots. When you go out there and look at those lots, not all of those lots are developable. Yeah. Some are not. Some might have topography that impacts whether or not you can put something there, or you can do it. I mean, all things are possible with time and money, right? But
that's money.
But it might not be economically feasible to put a home on that piece, on that lot, because of the topography and the challenges on it. Or it might be in an undesirable location, or it might not have a willing seller.
Yeah.
Just because it's platted does not mean it's available to build upon. Yeah. So the builders, what they did was, they really didn't have a choice because developments weren't being approved. They had to start, a lot of them had to start looking, okay, let's do some infill. And the lots, I'll call it the low-hanging fruit, those were picked. And those lots that were out there that were buildable, that were available in desirable locations, those got built upon. Mm-hmm. And now we're squeezed down to the point where there's just,
it's the hard ones.
It's the hard ones if they're even available.
Yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah, and people wonder why home prices are so high.
That's right.
Yeah.
That's right.
Definitely.
And another reason why we don't have a lot of lots is because doing development in Lawrence, Kansas is very risky. People don't understand when they see a developer propose a development, the risk that he is taking on the expenses. Will they sell? Will the neighbors fight it? Will the neighbors add things to it? Because it doesn't matter how good the development is. Generally, the neighbors will come out
something to say
and have
it.
something to say about it, and perhaps add things that change the project. So and they might put quite a bit of money into it in engineering and still not get anything, or they get it approved. And I don't think this would happen in today's market because of the situation with the lots, but they have the lots there for sale, and maybe for whatever reason they don't sell. I mean, it is a risk.
Yeah.
And people tend to paint sometimes developers as, I hear the term a lot, even in public meetings, greedy developers, which is very frustrating because I want them to understand, hey, if you live in a neighborhood, a developer risked his business, his
livelihood,
savings,
his
his
family,
livelihood to provide this. Developers and builders provide a product.
Yeah.
Just like anybody else that's in business. They are small business people, sometimes larger business people, but in Lawrence, mostly small local business people that are providing a product or a service, not unlike other people, but they get a lot of stereotypical criticism.
Yeah. Definitely.
And I might just add one more thing about the reason that why we struggle with lot inventory is I think it's a lack of planning from our city for infrastructure. When development does pay for itself, when a developer develops a piece of ground and people drive by and they see the streets and the utilities, some people presume that that's the city putting that in, and it is not.
Yeah.
It is the developer, and the developer then passes those costs on to the builder when he buys the lot, who then passes it on through the price of a home. I know you all know that, but so
it's good to hit on all this because I think people forget. I mean, if you're a buyer, you don't realize what all goes into just starting out a subdivision or just even clearing the land. I mean, it is a big process.
right.
Because people also don't realize that if there isn't that city infrastructure there, that also has to be put in as well to be code, right? Or no?
I don't understand your question.
So like if the infrastructure, like to connect to the water lines and all of that, if they did want to annex extra land and start developing that, there are certain requirements in order to have that put in.
Oh, right, right. There are city standards.
Yeah.
Yes, and they have to build to city standards. Now,
But the city doesn't pay for that.
the city
just to
does
be
not
clear.
pay for it.
Yeah.
But there is an instance where the city is paying for something, and I want to point this out
Yeah.
because this is something we worked hard to get, and that is in the last capital improvement plan. The Home Builders Association, along with some other organizations, asked that they put in the capital improvements plan, which is a 5-year plan, the infrastructure going under the SLT to go westward. There is not a single development that can put that infrastructure in advance and then recoup the costs of that, where thousands potentially of future homes are going to benefit from. It's something because it's a huge project to do that, to get the infrastructure over on the west side of SLT. We did ask the city to do that, and they did that.
Wow,
and so we
that's
are
awesome.
very appreciative that they did that. And then the way it will work and the way it will get paid for is as development occurs, then presumably that will get paid back to the city in the cost of specials. So but it makes the city a partner in this instance.
Yeah.
This is unusual. This is not in Lawrence, Kansas how development typically occurs, but it is where
They have some money and risk involved.
That's right. And they do. Now, the problem with that particular example is that while they're getting the water and the sewer, and all this is, the reason the timing was important is because it's the realignment of the SLT. So it made sense to do it now.
Yeah.
So it'll get done, but the conveyance lines then need to be upgraded. So we're opening up in the future land moving westward, but we need the conveyance lines to be able to carry waste and water to the wastewater treatment plant, which is southeast. So in some areas, then that will be the next step, or maybe it should be done now. I mean, I don't think I'm not sure where that particular part is in the capital improvements plan, but we do need to work on that to make sure that when everything's done, then we can start building westward, which makes sense because the topography is good. There's large property owners. It's not cut up. If you go southward, it's got a different. The land is cut up differently. The property division is a lot different southward than what it is westward.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's just because of how the land had been broken up previously amongst over time. So.
Yeah. We used to have the 5-acre exemption, and 5-acre, a house here, a house there, a house there. It creates a lot of obstacles for orderly growth. Let's put it that way.
Yeah.
And so now they changed that, correct? there's a new rule for
Yes.
that.
So the county, what was happening when the city really clamped down on this growth. So people started finding opportunities in the county, and the county, rightly so, said we are not able to provide urban type growth. So they increased their requirements to 40 acres, 20 acres, and then you could divide it once into 2 10s. So their thought was to make it more difficult for people to build in the county.
To start subdividing a bunch.
Well, interestingly, what happened was it really didn't slow down growth. Or I should say the city of Lawrence really slowed down, because for the first time we started seeing single-family building permits higher in the county.
Yeah.
In the rural areas of the county were higher than the city of Lawrence.
Would you say that's unheard of? I mean,
I've
can you
never
remember?
seen it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've never seen it. And I don't know what I haven't seen the end of year numbers from 2024 for December. I know the cities were 57 single family permits, but the county's going to be right in there. So
Wow.
I know there were several months that the county was actually higher than the city.
Wow.
And I understand that the county is not designed to carry that kind of traffic. The roads are not designed that way, and that's what was happening, because that's where the opportunities were.
Yeah.
And you get a lot of people that are living in the county on large pieces of land that they really maybe didn't intend to, because there are also some maintenance responsibilities when you own that much land, that they now are taking care or not taking care of land. And then it also takes it out of agricultural production.
It does. Yep. Definitely.
Sorry, that made me laugh. Taking care of or not.
Yeah.
That's a real thing, though. I mean,
it's a huge responsibility.
Yeah.
That's so funny.
So how do you think that the cost of materials has impacted the inventory shortage? Would you say that's still happening, or would you say that was kind of previously? What are your thoughts on that?
Well, the cost of materials have affected everybody. That's not a local issue.
Yeah.
And I think that it's leveled out from what it was during the pandemic and soon after. I think that's starting to level out, but the prices are still up there.
Higher than they used to be.
Yeah. There were some lumber mills that shut down during the pandemic. And then when demand started increasing again, those lumber mills don't turn out on a dime. That's a whole process, for example, getting that started again. So then that creates shortages. And then we get into that supply and demand issue. So the cost goes up. And so even after the pandemic was over, there's still challenges. I think the supply chain issues have, gotten much, much better. But our materials costs are still higher. But they're a little more stabilized.
Yeah.
But they're higher.
That makes sense.
It's a new normal.
So not the major contributor here to costs.
No, that not so much compared to. I mean, there are other communities that are having record year growth. I mean, our neighbors in Kansas City are, they're killing it over there on their growth, their new construction, and they've got the same. Their costs are the same as far as materials. Those really are not locally determined costs.
Your home should be a safe place, not a source of hidden health issues. I'm Nez with Pure Maintenance of Kansas, bringing the newest solution in mold remediation to Lawrence. If you're dealing with musty odors, past water damage, or unexplained allergies, mold could be the culprit. Our demolition-free technology treats your entire home, because mold isn't just where you see it, it's airborne. Breathe easier with Pure Maintenance. Call us today to learn more at 913-379-4518.
Now, another impact is that labor shortages have been a problem. We are so grateful for Peaslee Tech. We are so fortunate in this county to have a facility like Peaslee Tech.
Peaslee Tech is amazing.
They are amazing, and they are training so many different industries. I'm on their board of directors too, and I know they've just got so many. There's so much going on out there, and their director is just a ball of energy. But on the construction side, they are training all the tradespeople, and they're getting younger people in high school that are coming in and taking classes in there now, so that when they leave high school, they have no debt. Nobody leaves Peaslee Tech with debt, and they walk out the door making a very livable wage, and in the near future, a really good wage. So we have a lot of folks. We have potential with Peaslee Tech, but when we go through things like the 2008 housing bubble, which I don't know, you two probably weren't even born then. But
whatever.
We were around.
We were around.
When you go through that, and then the pandemic, that really hurts your skilled labor. And they, one guy after 2008 called me one day, and he's like, "Hey, just wanted to let you know I'm moving on. I'm not going to be a member anymore." I'm like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I understand. Well, what do you do?" And he goes, "Well, actually, I'm a geologist." I'm like, "What?" So people, they go and they go back to, they have to go where their opportunities are. They have to go out to where they can take care of their families, and they leave. And then when demand comes back, we're flat-footed, and we have to work hard to get our tradespeople
caught back up, basically. To
and
re-enter.
then to add to that, the aging population of our industry is, I see that anecdotally. I see at our continuing ed, there's a lot of old guys out there, in
the nicest way possible.
No, I'm kidding. They're the best. But they're aging out, and we've had an economist come and speak from KU. His name's Brian Lines. He's really amazing and interesting. But there are statistics that for every 3 people that are leaving our industry, there's only one
re-entering
left to take their place. And so our labor shortage is not going to change anytime soon.
No.
So we need to keep working hard and keep supporting places like Peaslee Tech, encouraging businesses to take mentors and, work with young people and get them interested in the trades.
Well, and I know that, a lot of the people who are kind of getting up there in age that are in the trades, they're losing the steam to fight the fight as far as how it goes to, work through the process of new construction and development. And, they don't have the energy. They've already fought it a few years back, and it's hard to continue to want to do it when you're nearing the end of what you want your career to be there.
Well, luckily we are getting some younger people entering our industry that are very energetic and excited, and I really want our industry to be strong so that they have opportunities, and they're going to have to pick it up and take it from here. And I have no idea who you're referring to, Campbell, but I do know that there are some people that over the years have worked very hard on behalf of our industry and through the Lawrence Home Builders Association to make this a better community and a better place to build houses. And we really, our members are our strength. And there's some really good folks out there that have worked hard over the years. And I have some new people on my board that are just real excited to get involved and roll their sleeves up. So we'll let them get a chance and learn from the other guys.
Absolutely. Definitely. So you kind of quoted some of the statistics comparing the number of new construction homes being built over the past few years. Do you have a little bit? I know you said 57 this year. Was that 2023?
2024, there were 57. Okay. So I was kind of looking at the numbers. So this is just boggles my mind, but I think the highest number on record was, we only have permits dating back to 1956. Prior to that, we didn't have building codes. And thank goodness that we are in a community that has building codes. We really need building codes. It's assurances to buyers that there are minimum standards. And our minimum standards in Lawrence are really good. And in Douglas County, we have very good building codes here, very, very stringent building codes and energy codes. But back in the 1967, we built 200 and almost 240 houses in Lawrence. And I think the highest year I found was, in 1994, 486 homes.
Wow.
Compared to today, we're building 57. And our population in Lawrence is over 91,000. excuse me, I think it's actually closer to 94,000, and our
Wow.
county is 121,000.
Wow.
So for a community that has 94,000 plus, and they're only building that many single family houses, that's
Right there.
that sums it up.
Yeah. It's proof. I mean,
It's
proof
proof.
is in the numbers.
Yeah, it's a problem for
Proof is in the pudding.
Proof is in the pudding. It's a problem for buyers, it's a problem for builders, and it's a problem for the community because we have stifled growth right now, and that means stifled economic development.
Yeah.
I have the honor of serving as the chair right now of the Economic Development Corporation Board, and it's when you're trying to attract new industrial or commercial growth. And the question is, well, where will they live? Well, I don't know. Maybe in another community. But
Yeah.
I mean, I'm just being kind of an obnoxious saying that. But it's true though.
Yeah,
Communities
if
need.
we want to keep people in our community, we have to be able
We have to have growth.
Yeah.
We have to have growth. We have to have places for people to live.
Absolutely.
And it needs to be the priced housing that people that
That it's
work there
affordable.
can afford
Yeah.
it.
Yes.
That's right.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I know
So-
people are talking about the Panasonic plant being built and where people are going to go in regards to that. But Lawrence just unfortunately hasn't grown in the way that we will probably be one of those communities to support some of that.
Well, it's really disappointing. We had expected, and things might still happen.
Yeah,
So
it
we're
could.
hopeful things will happen. But so far, we haven't been able to leverage anything out of Panasonic here in this community.
Yeah.
And it hasn't been for lack of talking about it, trying to figure out how we can do it, not just in residential growth, but in industrial growth
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
That's another, it's growing the tax base in the industrial side is so important too, so that we don't have so much pressure on the residential properties of providing the amenities that people in Lawrence want.
Yes.
So, but anyway, when I was looking at the numbers, I saw in the 80s, all the way right up until before 2008, building permit numbers were typically in the high 200s to mid 300s. I mean, that was normal. That was
Yeah.
the normal. Then the 2008 housing bubble came, and it did kind of knock us down a little bit. But we were still building 150 homes,
Yeah.
and we were like, "Oh shoot, we'll get back up there." We always knew that we were told. From the national perspective, don't expect for this to come back instantly. It's going to be a slow climb. So we were kind of coming back, 150, 160. Okay, this is not great. And then COVID hit. I think pre-COVID or the year of COVID that it first came out, we had almost 170 permits. It's like, oh, that's, we're
Yeah.
getting there. And then boom, 2022, we were at 79 permits.
Ugh.
2023, we were at 98. And now 57.
Wow. Even from 98 to 57.
Significant.
Yeah.
It has been a significant drop.
Wow.
Wow.
So,
That's like crippling.
yeah.
I'm just like blown away.
Yeah.
So that's where we're at with our permit numbers.
Yep.
The regulatory requirements have never been greater. The time it takes to get a permit, in last year's numbers, the average time to get a single family permit from time of submission to time of issuance was 45 days.
What did it used to be?
A week.
Yeah.
And now
So-
it's 45 days.
So that
And
kind of
that's
leads
money
in-
just sitting there. I mean, if anything, it's money burning when you're not able to start a project because you don't have it approved and you've done all the necessary things and it's just sitting there waiting. So,
I mean, that did kind of lead into our next question, kind of going over zoning and regulatory challenges that builders face in Lawrence. Would you say that time is one of the big things to get things approved, or what else are people facing?
Timing, it's always been a long process in Lawrence to get developments approved. If you can get a development approved, a housing development, a year and a half is probably pretty good. And then to get a building permit, those factors are very important to the process because time is money. So, but as far as zoning right now, one of the challenges that we have as an industry is we just adopted a new zoning code. And it's not only for the building industry to understand what the new rules are, but it's for also the city staff to understand what the new rules are. I mean, we've had a big change in our development codes recently. At the end of November, they were adopted.
Yeah.
Actually, formally adopted just 2 weeks ago, the second reading. So it's adopted now. They go into effect, I believe, in April. But the whole idea of our new development codes is mixed use and density. Dense. And while the city thinks they're going to get more affordable housing out of density, and we might, I'm not sure. And actually, this might be an area, Campbell, that you might have more input on. But the question is that what buyers want? So that is what the city has said. We want infill development and we want it dense. The neighbors absolutely do not want this.
Yeah.
And they have voiced it.
Yeah.
And I have voiced on behalf of the Home Builders Association, density is great, but we don't want minimum density. We don't want to say on that piece of ground, you have to build to really the minimum in the new R2 zone is higher than anything we have in Lawrence right now.
Yeah.
Very, very dense. And on paper, you might look at the numbers and go,
Can you share what R2 is real quick so people...
4 to 6 dwelling units per acre.
Yep.
And that's pretty dense.
Yeah.
So I think that's denser. I'm not sure what exactly Fairfield Farms is, but it's not that dense. And then, they want mixed use, and all those things are good, and all those things will be great if people want it. And that's what I'm concerned about. Is it's good that you are allowing it, but
don't make it a minimum.
But don't require it.
Yeah.
I think that the market forces need to dictate what is actually built.
Yeah.
Within limits. And those limits would be the maximum.
The market speaks.
The market, but
it will speak.
And it will.
Yeah.
So, and the way it will speak is if it doesn't want it, we will continue to see our permit numbers
decline.
Yeah.
Even lower. Yeah.
The other thing that we have is we're getting ready to review the new building codes. Every 3 years, they come out with a new cycle of building codes. Lawrence in the past has always been right on top of that. In fact, they like being one of the first ones to adopt the codes, which we've always said, no, let other communities go in first and kind of get the kinks out. See how it works, because they always say, oh, okay, that didn't work. So then the next code cycle, they take that, whatever that is, take it out. But so now we have gone 6 years, and we're on the 2018 international codes. We're getting ready to review the 2024 codes. So there will certainly be new challenges there, and most notably will be the energy codes.
Yeah.
And then,
at the same time that they pass this density stuff
right.
as well.
So these are challenges for the industry to become familiar with and to know what the new codes are. So that process of the building code review, that hasn't actually started yet. The staff has already started reviewing it, but the board has not. So we'll be involved in that and try to give as much input as we can. I mean, our goal is to take the codes that are necessary and to look at what makes sense economically. It would be great if every single house had solar and every single house had fire sprinklers and at some point you have to say you're breaking the market, and there's only so much the market can hold. And we definitely want houses to be safe and those health, safety, and welfare. But now we look at health, safety, welfare, and comfort when the comfort factor comes in with the energy codes. And so at some point you just really have to evaluate, does it make financial sense to have that particular code, particularly with the energy codes? It takes, $100 to install it, but the payback is $20. I'm just making those numbers up, but that's the idea, that you have to do that.
Is it paid back or not? Yeah.
The Department of Energy did a review. They're supposed to do a review of each cycle of energy codes and evaluate, which of the codes are valuable and relevant. And so that's something that we hope to see too. The National Association of Home Builders, one of their main points is to reduce unnecessary regulation. As I said earlier, I'm so thankful that we're in a community that has building codes. It's not that we don't want regulations.
Yeah.
It really evens the field out, does creates a fair system. But it's when you start adding unnecessary, oh, wouldn't it be nice if we had blank, that it starts to increase
Cost.
That's
Yeah.
right. And President Trump has even talked about, the regulations and getting rid of regulations that are not necessary.
Yeah.
So at all levels.
Well, and so just a quick question with the density that was passed, with that, are they going to be required to have sprinkler systems in those? Okay.
No, that was in, I used that example. That was in, I believe it came out in the 2012 code.
Yeah.
But we lobbied against that. And because our new houses are not burning down.
Yeah.
The statistics are not backing up. And our houses are built with the safer materials, fire retardant materials in many cases. And we also have required smoke detectors and CO2 detectors, which were not required in the past.
Oh.
So really what makes more sense is not to impose those types of restrictions on new homes, but maybe go back and make sure that our existing housing stock prior to smoke detectors are required to get those smoke detectors. That's right.
Good point.
So the state of Kansas is the one that said, no, we're not going to mandate it, but our code still includes it. So if you want to put fire sprinklers in, we have a code for it, but it's not mandated.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So what can be done at a community and or government level to alleviate these different issues that we've been talking about?
I
That's a
think
big question.
I think
A
what
loaded question.
I think what they need to do is to take a look at their regulations and really determine what is required for health, safety, and welfare. And if it's not,
Take it out.
take it out.
Yeah.
We did a study. We got together some builders, engineers, developers, plumbers, electricians, HVAC contractors. I believe this was in 2017, and we said, "Hey, write down. Let's itemize on a basic 2,000 square foot house what the increases over the last 10 years have been to your home, to your product, to your service. Your materials, really materials, and what new codes, what changes have
Been made.
to increase the cost." And we came up with a really solid list, which we took to the city. We took to the planning director. We took it to the Affordable Housing Advisory Board. We took it individually to city commissioners, and it all fell on deaf ears. And now some people are saying, "Hey, wouldn't it be great to have that study again?" And yes, it would be.
But it's a lot of work. I mean, that was a lot of time, a lot of effort that went into even researching that.
It
and
absolutely
then
was.
It didn't work.
Researching it, presenting it, explaining it to folks, and people said, "Oh, wow, that is really interesting. Okay, thanks." And that was it.
Yeah.
And it was disappointing, really, that because we weren't saying when we gave that report, we weren't saying that all these things need to go. It was like, you
just evaluate it. Sit down and
this is it. What do you think? What are to me, it was a matter of what are your priorities?
Yeah.
Is a big one is sidewalks. So requiring 5-foot sidewalks on both sides of a local street. Is that necessary? Maybe a 5-foot sidewalk on one side of a local street, or maybe 4-foot sidewalks on both. Maybe, but that number, I think of all of them, might have been the biggest one that could have really made a difference. It's expensive, and do we really need it? That's an example of maybe an unnecessary requirement.
And sidewalks would be the developer's responsibility, not the city's.
Right. It's
Well,
the developer's responsibility and becomes the homeowner's responsibility. Now, there is some, the city's trying to get some grant money in there.
That's what I was about to bring up, to make it through ADA, to make it compliant for people with disabilities.
Right,
Yeah.
right. Yes. Mm-hmm.
I read an article on that, I think in the LJ World.
And repairing cracked or heaved sidewalks. We don't
Yeah.
want people to get hurt. And it is legally in the state of Kansas, it is the property owner's responsibility.
Which is tough because, I mean, some people don't have the money to go out and do that, to fix the sidewalk.
Yeah.
I also don't know if people really realize that is their responsibility.
Yeah.
That's fair.
The state of
Yeah.
Kansas says it is. But
Yeah.
some people, and I don't really know how I feel about this. I'm pretty neutral on it, but there are a lot of people that that's cost prohibitive of them to be able to go out and do some major repairs. And some people think,
Yeah.
hey, this is infrastructure. I'm not using the sidewalk.
Yeah.
Other people in the community are using it. Why am I paying for it? They consider the sidewalk the same as the street.
Yeah.
It is
Yeah.
a community benefit, and the community at large ought to pay for it. So we'll see.
Yeah.
Yeah. Wow. Well, I feel like we could just keep talking and talking.
Yeah, definitely.
This is a very hefty episode.
Oh my
to
gosh,
say the least. And I
there's-
feel like we've barely even scratched the surface.
Yeah,
I would
But-
agree. I do have one thing though that I'd like to throw out
please
there.
do.
We had a National Association, the head of government affairs, come to Lawrence when the comprehensive plan was being created, and he was testifying at the Planning Commission level, and he made a comment that it's always stuck with me because I think it's very true. And he said, "The way you build affordable housing is to build more housing." It's so basic. It's so
Yeah.
supply and demand, and the way that we can get more affordable housing is just to open it up and let us build more housing. So
Yeah,
I love
yeah.
that.
For those people, Joy kind of spoke of that. If you have more homes entering the market, then you have people that are able to continue to move up and to a different home, which opens up those other homes for new homeowners or people that were renting and buying their first home to go into those homes. So,
I think those first-time home buyers, those young families, they are locked out of our housing
Yeah.
market for home ownership in
Yeah.
Lawrence. Townhomes are considered now to be the affordable option, and so single-family housing is really on the skids. It's
Yeah.
a real
Yeah.
challenge to get the numbers up there so that people have a place to live, and they want to live here.
yeah,
Yeah.
they want to live where they work and where their
Where they've
family
grown up
is.
and yeah.
And if we don't have that option, then they look to go to other communities.
Or the
which-
county,
Yeah.
Yeah.
out in the rural
Yeah.
areas.
Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah,
Yeah.
definitely.
Well, thank you for joining us, Bobbie.
Well, I'm
We really
happy to be
appreciate
here.
it.
I'm
Yeah.
happy to be here. Thank you for
Thank
having
you.
me.
Thank you for the Lawrence Public Library and signing out.
Thanks for joining us on Lawrence Real and Local, Keeping It Real podcast. We appreciate our guests taking the time to join us. Don't forget to subscribe and leave a review if you've enjoyed today's episode.
For more information, please visit us on the web at www.lawrencerealtor.com. And remember, whether you are buying, selling, or simply dreaming of your future home, we're here to help. Until next time, keep it real.
And happy house hunting.